Hey, good morning. Am I muted? I had some, my speaker went out as the intro was playing. I need a haircut too. Good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution. Episode 1302. 1302. I think yesterday was 1301. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. We're going to talk about auctions and will auctions run my business? Will auctions dominate my sales in 2025? So that's what we're going to talk about today. I feel a little better today. Feel a little better. I mentioned yesterday I was a little tired, mostly in part because of my diet over the weekend, an extended weekend that started Thursday night. Got drunk on Thursday night with the bar crawl, downtown crawl thing. Friday night, hangover, let's do pizza, takeout pizza. Saturday, we went out to dinner for my wife's birthday. Had Chinese, and then I had a cupcake afterwards. And sugar keeps me up. I didn't sleep well. And then I had a giant crumble cookie on Sunday afternoon. Didn't sleep well Sunday night. So I'm like, you know what? It's a detox Monday. And so I had rice for lunch. I had a couple carrots in the afternoon, drank a lot of water, of course, my mushroom coffee. And then I had cheese and crackers, a couple cheese and crackers for an appetizer last night. And then some bran flakes for my dinner. My wife's like, it's getting close to 6:00. She's like, what do you want to do for dinner? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I haven't really eaten much today. I could use like a dinner, but I'm already in my pajama pants and hoodie. I'm not leaving the house except to take Ernie out 7 different times because he's got to poop, but he won't poop. He finally pooped. And I don't really feel like making, and I looked around, I'm like, we don't really have anything. It looks like it's time for a grocery store run. So I got into the cheese and crackers. My wife's like, what did you find? And I said, cheese and crackers. There's plenty for you too. And then I went with the bran flakes. And then I was tired. I did a ton of shipping yesterday. It was, and we're going to tie this into today's topic of auctions and what 2025 may have in store for my business. If it weren't for auctions running nightly, my sales would kind of be down. But is that because I'm focusing on auctions as opposed to not listing as much on the buy it now side? Could be. Last couple days have been above average for my sales. However, without auctions, they would have fallen below average. It's, that fine line. Now, I think it was Friday. I had an amazing sales day on Friday last week. So Monday is kind of like that. You never know day. Last Monday was below average. Tuesday was way above. We ran our Tuesdays are typically now a good day for me because of my auctions. Wednesday, also, you get some of the trickle. You get some of the payments coming in on Wednesday. Thursday was slightly above. Friday was killer. Did amazing sales on Friday. Saturday was awful. Absolutely awful. And I was home all day. And so it seems like when I'm home all day, my sales are good. Sales were absolutely pitiful on Saturday. Sunday, Monday, sales were slightly above average. So, and if it weren't for auctions on Sunday, Monday, I would have fallen. I would have a really poor string. Now, a lot of that has to do with what I'm listing. I am focusing on auctions. I haven't listed a lot of buy it now. The good stuff I'm getting, I'm like, I'm just going to save this for auction. So I have been saving a lot. I do want to get some buy it nows. In fact, last night I was watching some baseball. I haven't watched much of the baseball playoffs, but I did turn on the Yankees-Guardians game, and I feel like I'm going to throw up when I say I'm rooting for the Yankees. But I am. I just don't like the Guardians, and I think part of it is a big part of it is because of they're the Yankees, and I run a card selling business. Who's going to drive more sales selling baseball cards? The Yankees or the Guardians? Yeah, I might. In fact, I think I threw Jose Ramirez rookie card at auction last night. That'll be a nice, not a nice sale, but it'll sell. But there's just going to be more, Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton. Over on the other side with the Mets, you've got Pete Alonso. The Dodgers have a lot of, Dodgers, Mets, Yankees. At this point, I don't care. I don't have a rooting interest in the teams, but I do from a business standpoint. So I want the big market teams, the more collectible teams to win. Mikey wants Yankees, Mets. That would be fun. Subway Series. Again, that would be fun. I right now it's kind of like I want to push all of my. So I was going through last night. I was watching the game. I'm like, I was sorting out Lindor and who else? Pete Alonso, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, Mark Vientos, who's had a great postseason. I picked up a couple Vientos cards this weekend. So Ohtani, get those Ohtanis out. So I don't really care. I don't really care who wins. I'm rooting for the Yankees, though. I do care that the Yankees beat the Guardians because it's going to drive more sales than Cleveland. Cleveland doesn't rock. So that's what I did last night. What else is going on? It's cold. Man, it's cold. It's like 40 degrees right now, but 35 actually, my computer says, and I believe it. No frost though. That's kind of nice. I don't really give a shit now. All the plants outside are the stuff that's going to die anyway, the in-ground stuff. My garden's long gone. So I really don't care from that. Like, bring it on. Like, I actually, when I went outside to take Ernie out to go potty this morning and that cold air hit me, now it's like I used to just go out in my sweatpants and a t-shirt, like just my white undershirt. Can't do that now. I've got so today was my first hoodie, morning hoodie. So had the hoodie on, that cold air hit me. And I'm like, you know what? Bring it on. Bring it on. It's depressing. It is because it's October 15th and it's not going to be warm again until like next August. We've got like a full year before it gets warm in Wisconsin. No. So it's going to be a long, it's always a long, but I welcome it. And it's these next, 2.5, 3 months are fun because I like bring it on, like bring on hoodies, bring on the cold, bring on Christmas, all that stuff. Gives me more time to play with my baseball cards because that's just what I need. More time to play with baseball cards. But these next month, because the next couple of weeks, it's Halloween, yay. But I also have a lot of things to look forward to. Halloween is okay, but it gives content to watch on TV, scary movies having on in the background. But then the day after Halloween, I'm flying down to Oklahoma City to see Cooter and hang out with Cooter for the weekend. And I'll bring my pajama pants. And so I'll be hanging out down there. We're going to drive down to Dallas on, what's that, the 2nd, Saturday, November 2nd, which, by the way, Cooter, I've got to get you my flight schedules. Let's see. And then what do I have? And then I think I have a free weekend after that. And then, or wait, no, I don't. I think the next weekend I think there's the Rockford card show the following weekend. So I will set up in Rockford. I've missed the last couple in Rockford, so it'll be nice to get back down there. And then the next weekend is the Chicago Sports Spectacular, and I will be going down there on Saturday. I've got a table for Sunday, so I really want to focus on getting some bargain boxes together here over the next month, so I can have some good inventory for Chicago. And then the next weekend is the Madison Card Show, and then we go into Thanksgiving, and then the Madison Card Show, the Saturday of Thanksgiving weekend, November 30th is that show. And then it's like Black Friday, and I'm going to be shopping for baseball cards on blowout cards and what they have for Black November. I've got Allen and Ginter coming in a couple of weeks right before I leave for Oklahoma City and Dallas. I've got a case of Allen and Ginter coming. And then we go into Christmas. You know I love my Hallmark Christmas movies. In fact, it's cold enough now I feel okay because they've started running Christmas movies already. And so it's cold. Like if it's like 80, like it was a few days ago, it was 80 degrees. And I'm like, I can't watch a Christmas movie when it's 80 degrees outside. But now it's 35. It's cold. Turn the fireplace on. Let's watch some Hallmark Christmas movies. And then Christmas. And then a few weeks after Christmas is Cubs convention. So I've got a lot of like boom, 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 boom. I don't even notice it's fucking cold outside because I've got fun things to do. But then between Cubs convention and spring training, that's like a solid 2 months of like waiting and anticipating baseball. And then you get through spring training, baseball's back, baby. All right. So that's the fun that's going to be had in the next few months. Let's shout out my eBay store, 99centcards.com. When you buy 7 or more cards at regular price for buy it now, it's a 25% off savings at checkout. So check that out, 99centcards.com. Discount code does not apply to auctions. Does not apply to auctions. We have auctions ending almost every night. Had a new batch go live last night. A lot of baseball. I think 70 auctions went live last night. Tonight, of course, we stream live starting at 7 p.m. Central. We'll start watching those auctions as they end at 7, starting at 7:15, and new auctions begin every minute. That's tonight. And I'll probably have auctions starting the next few nights as well. I didn't have any time to get any Sunday night auctions rolling this past weekend, but we will have auctions rolling every night this week. I've got any Cubs fans and Rhino fans, Ryan Sandberg, I've got 135 Ryan Sandberg auctions ending this Friday night. I've got all 3 of the major rookies ending. The Topps, Donruss, and Fleer rookies for Ryan Sandberg. I've got inserts. I've got oddballs. I've got base. I've got everything Rhino ending this Friday night. 135 Ryan Sandberg auctions. Get those bids in, 99centcards.com. Make sure you check out the other auctions. I've got Star Wars ending this week. I've got basketball, baseball, football. Tonight, I don't know if BPL is listening. He might watch the replay, but it's going to be a Tom Brady Tuesday coming up next week because there's going to be a bunch of Tom Brady that I picked up over the weekend. A lot of these Tom Brady going to go live tonight in my eBay store. Also going to have baseball. 70 auctions went live last night for baseball. I'll have some more baseball going live tonight. So check it out. 99centcards.com auctions, and we'll stream live starting at 7 p.m. What else? I think that's about all I had from yesterday. Today I'm excited today because Ernie is going to doggy daycare. I love doggy daycare days because Ernie, first of all, Ernie loves doggy daycare. He is a social butterfly. Every time I've picked him up, and he's only gone 2 or 3 times, and I said, did he behave? Because he's a mischievous little guy. And I'm like, did he behave? They're like, oh, he was great. He's a social butterfly. I'm like, okay. So what's funny though, I had a great conversation with one of my neighbors who I still don't know his name, but we finally know a little bit about each other and not just our dogs. I took Ernie to go potty I'm standing out in my front yard in pajama pants, slippers, and a Korean cardboard hoodie, standing out in my front yard, 6 o'clock last night, taking Ernie to go potty. And Rosie and the Chihuahuas are coming down the sidewalk. And I'm like, oh man, Ernie's going to go nuts. Rosie and the Chihuahuas are going to go nuts. And here I am in pajama pants and slippers. And so I wave, and he came over. So the dogs are playing, and Rosie was very gentle with Biscuit, but Biscuit was also a very gentle dog. Ernie is not. Ernie is like, I'm gonna fuck with you, man. And so Rosie puts Ernie in his place, and I love it. And Ernie like kind of got first time I've ever seen fear in Ernie, because Rosie was like, "Don't fuck with me, man. Don't fuck with me." So, and Ernie's like, oh, okay, I'm cool. So I was telling the human, Rosie's human, like, yeah, he's been Ernie's been going to doggy daycare a couple days a week, and he's like, oh, can you not take care of him during the day? And I'm like, well, yeah, I can, but I really don't get much work done. He demands a lot of attention, and it's difficult. So, but he loves it, and he loves every fucking minute of doggy daycare, and so do we, because we can get work done. So it's a win-win for doggy daycare. So my neighbor asks, he goes, what do you do for a living? And which is a common question in my neighborhood. It seems like everybody works from home, and it's, working from home is like this new thing. Like work from home, like was never like, I never knew it existed until I went to the city one time. I remember my first time I knew like a work from home existed was like, I don't know, 15 years ago. I'm at my buddy's house. We went out to like a bar. We were talking to some people, and they're like, oh yeah, I work from home. I'm like, oh my God, that's the dream. Work from home. That's a thing. You can do that. But now everybody does it. And so it's interesting to, and so we had this conversation, and so my neighbor says, so what do you do for a living? I always chuckle. I said, I run a business. I sell baseball cards. And he goes, you can, and this is typically the common response to when I say that. You can make a living doing that? It's surprising. I mean, and I really, and I didn't say this, but I want to say this when that's a response. Well, there's big business in bottled water. People freeze water and make that a business. Like you can make money and a living doing just about anything. Yes, you can make a living doing baseball cards, and actually quite a few people do it. Surprising. So now he's curious because, he's not in our world. So it's always intriguing. Like, oh, wow, I didn't realize that was a business. So we're talking, and I'm explaining my business and, kind of the ins and the outs on what I do, because he like has nothing. So it's interesting talking to like it's actually more fun, more entertaining, not fun, I guess, but it's more interesting talking about baseball cards with non-collectors, because they are genuinely intrigued by baseball cards in general and the process of actually making a business out of it. So he's like, so how does this work? So he had so many questions. How does this work? Do you buy from the companies? And I'm like, well, no, I like run entirely on the secondary market. Well, not entirely, but 98% on the secondary market. And so we had that conversation. And I said, well, what do you do? And he's an economics professor at the university. So so he's genuinely interested from an economic standpoint. So we had a great conversation. John says, just tell your neighbor you're an auctioneer. There you go. Yeah, I talk on YouTube every morning. So that was a fun conversation. So we're going to talk about auctions, because I'm an auctioneer now. I'm an auctioneer, and will auctions dominate my sales in 2025? And it's starting to trend that way. And the reason I bring this topic up this morning is because I think Merle joked about it. Was it Merle yesterday that joked about pretty soon you're going to be selling on whatnot? I said, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised, because I had a couple conversations I have recently about whatnot. Now, it's not something I'm going to do. It's probably not something that will even start in the next few months. But at some point in 2025, I might actually be selling on Whatnot. So we will see what the future brings. Maybe not. Maybe I get doing eBay Live, and maybe that takes over. But there's some things going on in the background that would drive me over to Whatnot, where I'm not just going to say I'm going to try Whatnot tonight and see how it goes. I'm very calculated with these moves, these pivots, and I want to make sure everything stays in line with how I run my business currently, because you know how I don't like selling on multiple platforms, but when I can get that synergy going, where I can keep everything the same, I welcome it. So if all of that kind of falls together, we'll see. So, but don't be surprised. I want to talk about that today, but we'll get to the chat first. And I also had another conversation that we might get into that I had with another dealer on Sunday at the Janesville Card Show. Todd's in the house. Good morning. What's up? Mr. Archer is here. Good morning. Flawed Thinker's in the house. Mikey's here. Good morning. I hit a massive vintage football collection on Facebook Marketplace. I saw that in the Hobby Evolution Facebook group. Very cool find. Lewis Baines here. Good morning. George in the house. Good morning. Good evening to George. Tracy's here. What's happening? Good morning, Kyle. What's going on? Philly Joe's in the house. Good morning. Orlando is here, and he says, "Go Yankees." I'm with Orlando. Go Yankees. Take down the Guardians. I guess in going back to that, of any, like Dodgers, Mets, I don't care. I honestly don't care, because I think, and now I'm thinking of it through the business side of things, and what am I going to sell more, Dodgers or Mets? Probably skews towards the Dodgers, but the Mets have enough that I think I can make some good sales on Mets players, Mets stars as well. Yankees, Guardians skews heavily toward the Yankees. So I am rooting for the Yankees to beat the Guardians. However, Dodgers, Mets, I really don't care. Either team can win. But I am rooting for the Yankees. John rooting for the Yankees as well. I've become more accepting of Aaron Judge. I love Aaron Judge. I think he's an awesome baseball player. He seems to be an awesome dude off the field. So I'm a big Aaron Judge fan. John says, looking for an old-fashioned Dodgers-Yankees series. I would welcome that. I think as long as the Yankees get into the World Series, I think it'll be a fun World Series. Yankees-Mets, because you've got it's all New York. It's the Subway Series. Or you got Yankees-Dodgers. You've got Judge and Ohtani battling it out. So I think if I were, you told me I had to make a decision on the National League team that I want to represent, I would probably say Dodgers. But I really honestly, if the Mets get in, that's great. But I think I'm more on line with a Dodgers-Yankees World Series. John says, though, baseball is dead to him. Mikey wants Mets-Yankees. Peter's in the house. Good morning. Mikey hates Ohtani. Mikey. He's trash. Wow. Mikey with some strong opinions on Shohei Ohtani. I think Shohei Ohtani is the greatest baseball player currently. And if he keeps this up, he will be the greatest baseball player of all time. If he keeps this up. Mark says, good morning. I hop on to see Bo in Orlando rooting for the evil empire. Believe it. Believe it. John says baseball died in 1994. Orlando with the laughing emoji. John says being a baseball fan in 2024 is like saying you prefer Paul McCartney's newer music. Mark still loves Orlando. Mikey says if Dodgers win, baseball is dead to me. Philly Joe says I'm rooting Dodgers versus Yankees, Ohtani versus Judge. That would be fun. That would be fun. Okay, you're starting to get me. You're starting to get me on the Dodgers. Sorry, Mark. I think we're all rooting for Dodgers, Yankees, except for Mikey. Cooter says, "Good morning to my pajama pants brother. I'll bring a pair. We'll have a pajama pants party. Think the Yankees play the White Sox in the next round. Mets fans are insufferable. One fella on Facebook has posted 0 posts since 2020 until this week. Suddenly, he's a Mets expert. We saw that. I think every fan base has those. I saw that here in the Midwest with the Chicago Blackhawks. And you don't see a damn thing. I don't even know when hockey season is anymore because the Blackhawks aren't good. When the Blackhawks were going through their run, every fucking person came out of the woodwork and it's hockey time, Kaner, going to watch hockey. And it's like, oh, apparently there's a Blackhawks game tonight. And now crickets. Mikey says, I'm a Yankees fan. Mark says, I hate those clowns, John. They're annoying as hell. Mikey says, you can't buy championships. You know, with the exception of Cleveland, the 3 of the 4, they're buying championships. 3 of the 4 teams are buying championships or trying, still competing. Johnny M says, good morning. A Subway Series will put major bank in my pocket selling cards outside the stadiums. There you go, Johnny M. That's what I'm talking about. Christmas Con is fast approaching. Otani Con is approaching. Philly Joe says, hope Stanton rakes have a bunch of A-plus cards I'd like to move. Money rules. That's right. That's right. Mikey says, what do you think about the collection I bought? Awesome. Great stuff in there. Great buy. Brian says, you can't buy championships. Mikey, a Yankees fan? That's some rich cognitive dissonance. That's what I'm thinking. He says the Yankees don't buy championships. I disagree. Todd says, Mikey saying I'm a Yankees fan and can't buy a championship. John says, just tell the neighbor you're an auctioneer. Philly Joe says, people don't know or have any idea how hard selling cards is. That's true. Like and that's the thing where, and I jinxed yesterday. I jinxed it because what did I say about the blowout forums and the mature section on eBay, ComC, online selling platforms? And there's the thread called eBay sales down. And yesterday, right after, there's all this little petty arguing between a few of these guys in there. It's like, come on. And it's all over valuing time and all that bullshit. It's like, why do people care so much about other people's time? Like, I don't give a shit how many hours you work. Like, if you're having fun, like, I work all day and all night, whether it's listing, shipping, a lot of shipping, sorting, a lot of sorting. But I fucking love it. I love it. I enjoy doing it. Every waking hour seems to be dealing with cards, and I love it. Now, do I sometimes want to be shipping all day? No. Everybody has a job that there's part of the job that they don't like doing. But like yesterday, I shipped all day. I listen to fucking podcasts. That's kind of fun to me. And I'm looking at cards. So while yes, I wouldn't say it's hard. It's not hard, but it's time consuming. It is time consuming. And I'm okay with that. Like, I love it. If I wasn't okay with it, I would not be doing it. And that's what I think. I think some of the people that, well, it's not worth your time. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize. I'm sorry. Not worth your time. How do you know? How do you know what my time is worth? So anyway, it is time consuming. And yes, people would be like, oh my God, I wouldn't do this. Most people don't. And why do a lot of people first don't have success selling cards? Because they don't. The time isn't worth it to them. It is to me and others that do it. It is worth the time. But a lot of people, it's not. I don't really have any other hobbies. So this is like my passion and I love doing it. And the next person, like if somebody sold ice, somebody owned an ice business and made the same or more money than what I make, I'd be like, yeah, but you're selling ice. Like, I don't want to do that, but I want to sell baseball cards. Cooter says, a nice sunrise developing over the Gulf. I'm jealous. A nice frost is developing in Wisconsin. It's cold. John says, when is Collects going to start live auctions? I don't know if that's in their playbook, but it wouldn't surprise me if something like that would happen in the future on that platform. Cooter says, Bo has decided it's time to turn that inventory. Absolutely. And that's what it all boils down to. I've got a lot of inventory that's not listed. And what's great about auctions, it sells. It may not sell for what I want it to. Like, well, I would have listed this at a buy it now for $10 and it sold for $2. But in the case of last night's auction, David DeCastro gold refractor, I was going to list in my eBay store for $2.50. I don't know what comps are. And I also don't have to look up comps on stuff I don't know about. Just run an auction. And that David DeCastro that I would have listed for $2.50 in my eBay store sold for $46. So I'm starting to turn a new leaf on auction. Actually, I started to turn a new leaf a long time ago. Now I'm just kind of going all in on auctions. Orlando says auctions are great for reducing inventory quickly. It's working for you really well. Yes. And that's, are there and that's another thing with selling cards. And a lot of people I see that struggle or fail is that they want to maximize profit on every single transaction. You just can't do that in any business, in any sales business. Like you're going to take some lumps. But it's all big picture. Relating this back to my freight days, working in the transportation industry, I had a $1 billion company that was a client, and it's been long enough. I can tell you it was Ball Metal Pack, and the jars and the lids and all that, the cans. So Ball Metal Pack, and I got them on in right before COVID, and my bids came in on the RFQ that we ran. They run an annual RFQ on their hundreds and hundreds of lanes that they ship, and I came in really competitive. But competitive on, okay, my margins are going to be small, but it's based on volume, just how my business is based. I may only make 4 to 5% margin, but I'm also running hundreds of loads per week, dozens per day. So I can maximize at the end of the day. Are there going to be headaches? Am I going to take a loss on Morristown, Tennessee to Amarillo, Texas? Yes. But on Milwaukee to Morristown, I know I'm going to make 12% margin, and I've got volume on that lane. So the few, Amarillo loads, not gonna really sting at the end. Yeah, on a transaction basis, yes. And that's the way you have to think when you're doing volume sales. You're not going to win every transaction. So you got to think of it in those terms. And reducing inventory is kind of, do I want to give stuff away? No. But I do want to reduce my inventory. And I've got hundreds of thousands of sellable cards to some degree. Now, are they all going to be $5, $10, $20, $50 cards? Absolutely not. In those hundreds of thousands, there's going to be a lot of $1.50 cards that would be buy it now. A lot of those would not sell at auction for 99 cents. So I'm also now at the point where I've got to cherry pick what I'm going to run at auction, because now I'm paying for insertion fees. Now, when they sell, I get that insertion fee back. So the key is, even if the item only sells for 99 cents, as long as it sells, I'm good. So long as it sells, I'm good. But I've got to find items that will sell. But I also know I've got those Ryan Sandberg auctions ending this Friday, 135 of them. I'm hoping 50% of those sell. I'm hoping, and I think right now I'm at maybe 10 to 15% that have bids on those. 10 to 15% have bids so far. But we still have 3 days left. So that's what I have to consider when I'm running the eBay auctions is it going to get a bid? One bid is all I need, and I'll get that 15 cents back. Peter says Guardians are the only likable team in the postseason now. They may be likable, but now I'm thinking dollar signs because I don't care. And I really, like, even if I was not thinking of this through my business, I probably would root for the Yankees over the Guardians because I like Aaron Judge. I like Anthony Rizzo. And so I'm going to root for those players. I don't know Jose Ramirez. I'm sure he's a nice guy. I'm sure he's a fun baseball player, but I don't know. I know the Yankees because they're everybody knows the Yankees. It's the Guardians. John says, Yankees been buying championships since the day they bought Babe Ruth. Amen. Guardians changed their name. Fuck them. I agree with John. Long live the Indians. Mikey says fair. Fair, John. Max says, amen, Peter. Only team left I want to win. Max says, but God forbid anything but a Subway Series. Gag me. Brian says, I've got Judge cards. Go Yankees. See, there you go. Brian says, Max, I agree. Tiger727 says, when I root for the Yankees, you know I don't like the other team at all. And I am definitely not a Yankees fan. Yeah, I'm not a fan of any of these teams. Now it's all about the greenbacks. Max says, I want to dump all my Vientos Chrome shit I almost threw in the garbage last year. Go Mets. John says, I think Ohtani is great. He also says in parentheses, he won't be the greatest player of all time. That'll be a fun debate. If Ohtani continues this run that he's had over his career so far, if that stretches in, and I think it's unfair to say he is the greatest player of all time or really have that conversation. Yet I'm saying that, but I think it's unfair. Only what did we look up yesterday? 7 years in, 6 years, 7 years career. He wouldn't even be eligible for the Hall of Fame yet. So, I think he's the greatest player in baseball right now. Uncle Rich says, good morning. Got the COVID shot yesterday and it knocked me for a loop last night. I don't know if I'm going to get another COVID. I'll get my flu shot. I'll probably, because I think they prick you at the same time. I don't think I got the COVID shot last year with my flu shot, which reminds me I've got to get mine scheduled. Usually my wife reminds me. She hasn't mentioned it yet. Brian says baseball died when pitchers stopped hitting. Long live the awkward swings and Zambrano mashed homers. Right. Absolutely. I miss those days. George says saying Ohtani is overrated is the equivalent of saying Judge is underrated. Both are incorrect. Mikey says Ohtani is the Josh Hamilton of this decade, starting off great and fizzles out. Well, he hasn't fizzled out yet. If he fizzles out, we can have that comparison, but he hasn't fizzled out. Uncle Rich says Yankees Mets. Mark M needs to have more Facebook posts. Mark says Fox and MLB want Dodgers Yankees, and they're chasing the greenbacks too. I don't blame them. John says funny part about the Mets fam on Facebook is that his last photo from 2020 was him wearing an Angels jersey. Cooter says Ohtani is a great player, but he will not be the greatest DH maybe. And I think that's what it's going to go down to. He's only played in 7 seasons. He's only played in the field, 4 or 5 games? So can you be the greatest player of all time by solely being a pitcher and a hitter? Maybe. I mean, some people put like Sandy Koufax in the greatest debate. So if you can put a pitcher, and remember, I am not on board with, I say pitchers cannot be the greatest of all time. I do not believe a pitcher can be the greatest baseball player of all time. But the caveat with Ohtani is what he does hitting. And if he continues 50-50 seasons or more, then I think you can make a debate for that. And he still pitches. If Ohtani continues, and this is just my opinion, if Ohtani continues what he's doing and does not come back to pitch, then I say no. He'll never be, because a DH, I also think a DH cannot be the greatest baseball player of all time either. Greatest hitter, yes. Baseball player, no. But I think if he does come back and dominates as a pitcher and continues to hit like he has, then maybe you can have that conversation. But again, and I guess the argument, and it's a good argument, well, he doesn't play in the field. Like he's not a player. He's a hitter and a pitcher, which I guess that's 2/3 of a baseball player, right? So it's an interesting. It'll lead to interesting debates. Right now, I think it's kind of a moot point. But I think if the trend continues, it does become a great debate. Max says that's every fan base in every city, everywhere. 99 cent card CA says Blackhawks have the hottest up-and-coming NHL superstar in Connor Bedard. And yet, the Blackhawk fans haven't come out of the woodwork like they did in 2010. Maybe they got to start winning. They start winning, then it's hockey time. That dude from Duryea says MLB is looking to bring back those long-lost ratings from the Texas-Arizona World Series. 43 people watched last year. Yeah, God. Those television executives were fucking cursing up a storm last year. Fucking Diamondbacks, fucking Rangers. Nobody's going to watch this shit. Jody, what's up? Good morning. George says, my team sucks donkey penis, and I'm okay with that. They've been rebuilding for a decade. Max says, people like to min-max everything. That's why. Ask those guys why they are wasting time typing on a forum instead of flipping $500 cards to make $25. And that's the thing. It's like, oh, it's not worth your time. In fact, one of these, and I always laugh at this. Let me see if I can find, because I've got the thing up here. Oh wait, was it up here? So somebody put they had like 6 points to their comment. What is your time worth question? A better question is, what would you be doing instead of selling the 1,000 cards? Watching TV or going to a bar and having a few beers, or spending your time here going back and forth? I think that's a great point. Jay Campus responds, regarding 3, I'd personally much rather be watching TV or drinking beers than selling 1,000 cards for $1, but everyone allocates their time differently. And that's the thing. Like, I'm making money. I can drink beer, watch TV, and sell baseball cards at the same time. In fact, I prefer to do that. That's fun to me. I'd much rather make some money than sitting on the couch watching TV doing nothing. And yet the guys that are going back and forth about this are typing their opinions on a fucking forum. Is that worth your time? Mark Marinello says Fox took a bath last year with Texas, Arizona. John says, looking forward to the transcript of your next chat with your economics professor when you tell him about your time. Johnny M says, it's as time consuming as you want it to be. I average about 3 hours a day. It's also as time consuming as how much money you want to make. You know, if I was happy only making $100 a day and only working 3 hours a day, or whatever the numbers, I'm just throwing numbers out there. I could work 3 hours a day and make whatever. I'm happy with what I'm doing. I'm happy consuming all of my time running my business, selling baseball cards, talking on YouTube, talking about selling baseball cards for an hour on YouTube, and making $6 in YouTube ad revenue for doing it. Brian says, this is the only hobby I'm able to do consistently without moving on to another obsession. And I used to be like that within the hobby. It wasn't until the Cubs project that I actually stuck to a collection. And even after I reached 1 million, I've still stuck to it. I'm still buying Cubs cards, adding to my collection. I'm also subtracting, but by subtraction, I can add more Cubs to my collection. Do I need 17 Ryan Sandberg Topps rookie cards? No, I can flip that into something else, something that I don't have. Mark says, my girlfriend is a Philly sports fan from South Jersey. It's been an interesting dynamic this past week. John wants to know, who is David DeCastro? I don't know. He played for the Steelers. I think he was an offensive lineman, so it might be his only card, and it's the gold refractor. I don't know. Max says, why are you ignoring stale inventory? Ever considered going back to reprice, delist old inventory? Not really, because what I have, my stale inventory, my listed stale inventory is kind of that stuff that's long tail, where it's just not super liquid. Do I have stuff that's liquid that I can list and replace it? Yes. And that's kind of why I've turned to auctions for the most part. And it's just it's kind of the time that I put, like, do I want to delist, tab 2A, because there might be stuff and I sell enough of that. But I am getting close to maximizing my listings. I don't think I'm going to hit it this month. I've said that for the last 2 months, but I've been selling enough, and I've been kind of focusing my listing on auction. So I haven't been listing as much buy it now, but the auctions are liquid. So at this point, will I delist some stuff? Eventually, yes. But not in the next couple months. Maybe once we get into the new year, I'll do that. But it is something it's becoming top of mind at this point as I, creep closer and closer to 60,000 listings. And actually going back, that's kind of the reason to the second question, ever consider going back to reprice and delist old inventory? That's kind of how I started my auction fetish. Was I had overpriced items, and I'm like, oh shit, this is overpriced. I'm going to run this at auction. Say it was last year's Topps Pro debut, and it's autographs. It's like, okay, I've made my money back on that case. So if I sell it for 99 cents, I'm okay with that. Now I just need to get rid of it. So that's actually, to your second question, that's how I started that first round of auctions I did. 50 or 60 auctions was all buy it now, overpriced inventory that I just did a 99 cent auction. So that's kind of what led me into auctions and doing them almost nightly now. Stuke says, it's not about the money. My good money job has sucked since new management took over. Counting days to retiring from this job within the next 5 months. Maybe soon if it gets worse. That sucks. That sucks when you hate I hated my last job. Did it for 8 years and just dreaded it. And that's kind of the thing where I'm working twice as many hours selling baseball cards, and I make a little more selling baseball cards than what I was doing, once you average out the entire year and take into account insurance and benefits and all that other stuff. But I'm happy and I love it and I have freedom and I work for myself, and all is so much worth the additional 40 hours a week I work, or 30 hours a week additionally that I work. George says, David is the nephew of Fidel DeCastro. Brian says, cash is king. It is. Johnny M says, after spending 30 years as a plumber for the New York City water supply, sitting at a table listing cards is so not a job. Absolutely. Dan says, hey, just started season 2 of Person of Interest. Stuke loved that show. Dan's enjoying it. Did I ask what platform that was on? Mark says, I write on Men with Taylor's Chalk for a living. I'd love to sell baseball cards. Beats smelling BO. Well, you have that. If you go to card shows, you have some BO. There was some BO present the other day. It's like, oh my God. Rich says, Judge is a very likable persona. Subway Series every year, says Uncle Rich. No, not every year. Come on, man. All kidding aside, Judge is what a major leaguer should be. Brian's in the house. Good morning. John says, but Mike Trout is the greatest player of all time. Your messaging confuses me. Did I say Mike Trout was the greatest player of all time? I would even put Mike Trout in the top 10 greatest players of all time. Brian says, sales are very slow. Going to unlist older cards and list a pile of new ones. There you go. There you go. Snook says Trout has some great WAR stats. He does. What are the highest WAR stats? And before we look at the numbers, highest WAR doesn't mean greatest player, even in my opinion. Highest WAR players all time. Major League career WAR. Babe Ruth is number one. And I don't think Babe Ruth is the greatest baseball player of all time. Walter Johnson is number two. This is all-time WAR rankings. Babe Ruth 1, Walter Johnson 2, Cy Young 3, Barry Bonds, 4, Willie Mays 5, Ty Cobb 6, Hank Aaron 7, Roger Clemens 8 on the list of all-time WAR. 9 is Tris Speaker and 10 is Hannes Wagner. Where does our buddy Mike Trout fall on the list? Mike Trout is at number 50. Number 50. Below Tim Keefe and above Robin Roberts. So there you go. List of all-time WAR. Babe Ruth tops the list. Uncle Rich says flu shot was a walk in the park. John says I sold 25 Pete Rose cards last night. Apparently the news just reached certain parts of the country. Porter is here. Good morning. I'm pulling for the Yankees because Jose don't talk American. Oh, he says that. That's how you read sarcasm. So Porter is sarcastic. Max says they still have COVID shots. Yes, they do. Get jabbed, buddy. John says, I think Mikey's hot take machine needs to be recalibrated. Dan says, Mikey really has a distaste for Ohtani. Max says, Hamilton has an Ohtani comp is absolutely awful. Hamilton was a druggie that could swing a bat. Sad he got any fame at all. Billy Joe says, Max, I thought you were a doctor. LOL. MD Sports Cards. Hamilton's addiction is very sad. Koufax was the most dominant player in baseball during his peak. George says, my COVID shot is getting coughed on by 1,000 students every week that all have COVID. Very effective. Walter Johnson was the greatest pitcher of all time. He did it in the dead ball and the live ball era. And again, he hit 400 one year. George says, I get micro payments of COVID daily. John says, it won't be an interesting debate. Mikey says, true George. Dan says, waiting 45 minutes for the market to open to buy a single share. Cooter says, Ohtani blows out his elbow within 24 months of return. Book it. Unfortunately, I agree. I think he's going to try to come back to pitch, and I think he's going to, and I just don't see a future on the mound for Shohei Ohtani. Unicorn Cupcakes asks S-Bucks, EPD, Tesla. Uncle Rich says, hey, my wife watched every moment of the 2024 World Series. John says the 1994 World Series had more viewers than the 2023 World Series. Mikey says he's the Dwayne Wade of baseball. Great during a few seasons on great teams, but isn't a GOAT. I'm forecasting the future, says Mikey. Mark says somewhere Mike Moynihan is frowning with all of this 2023 World Series bashing. Sorry, Texas Rangers. Flawed Thinker says a terrible feeling I get sometimes is when the day is over and I'm going to bed and I realize I had all the time in the world to make money and I ended up doing nothing. Ugh. That is a terrible feeling. And it's kind of like the tortoise and the hare. It's the keyboard warriors. Is it worth your time? Is it worth your time? And they're just on these keyboards on social media and on blowout forums while guys like me are just selling dollar cards, being the tortoise, selling dollar cards, making that money, George Washington at a time. Brian says, we discussed the hobby like 10%. Nonsense, 90%. Max says, can we stop throwing the word goat around? No, goat is here to stay. Max, ooh, he's got opinions on goat. God damn, I hate that fucking word. Each sport maybe has two guys that deserve that word. Baseball goat, Ricky Henderson. Okay, I'm kidding. Willie Mays, baseball goat. Football goat, Tom Brady. Basketball goat, Michael Jordan. Hockey goat, I don't know enough hockey. In soccer, I certainly don't know enough hockey. Mikey says Ohtani gambled on the game. He's not credible. He didn't gamble on the game. He did not gamble on the game. Now, can I prove that? No, but neither can you. So, Unicorn Cupcake says goat and grail are a bit overused lately. George says the game is sponsored by gambling, not a credible sport. Dan says, I'd like to see a Mets Guardians series, even though I won't watch it. Enough of Yankees Dodgers. George says, I'm hoping for a goat card in Ginter this year. There you go. That's a good idea. The goat. Andy Mack says repricing old inventory is a good idea, or running a big sale. Delisting old inventory would be way down on my list. And that's kind of when I run here's the surprising thing. When I run my 50% off sales, I don't sell the $20, $50, $100 cards. I sell the 99-cent cards, the $1.50 cards in volume, and somebody comes in and buys 40 of them just because I run a 50% off sale. So that's kind of, and thank you, Andy, for bringing that up, because that's something that I didn't even talk about. Was a lot of that stale inventory moves when I run 50% off sales. Uncle Rich says, via the AP, Major League Baseball's postseason is averaging 3.33 million viewers going into the league championship series, an 18% increase over last year's average. George says, I tell myself I love my job until I walk out the door of my apartment every morning. Right. Dan says, I downloaded it via torrent. Oh, I don't know what torrent is. Is that like Napster? Max says, Trout better than Ricky by a mile. I disagree. Uncle Rich says, I thought C. Yaz was John's greatest player of all time. Uncle Rich says, oh, terrible like percent. Hit that button and sub. They don't like my takes this morning, Uncle Rich. They don't like my hot takes. Brian says, Dan, I too love spending time on the high seas. Max says, so he's got to be top 5. George says, Samsung up 2 games on LG in this round of the KBO postseason. Enjoying it. Flawed Thinker says, in my opinion, offensively, Barry Bonds or Pete Rose are the greatest of all time. You know, Pete Rose is a guy that I never really consider, that I probably should consider. Barry Bonds is my number 2 behind Willie Mays. Unicorn Cupcake says, Yaz, top 5 player of all time. This cannot be true. I think even John wouldn't say that. That dude from Duryea says Ohtani has a gambling addiction. Question. I don't think he does. Uncle Rich says, if I recall, Walter Johnson's last major league at bat came in the game Ruth hit number 60 in 1927. John says, I'm liquidating my card collection to buy a minority stake in the Kia Tigers. D. Wade is more accomplished than Ohtani. Mikey is killing me with his comparisons today. Mikey apologizes. Brian says, you don't need to apologize. Keep them coming. That's what's fun about sports and opinions. Peyton Manning is the GOAT of football, says Mikey. He is keeping them coming. He's a homer for Peyton. Mikey, I need to proofread before you post. You're struggling today. Mikey says, I'm not as great as you, John. Gretzky is probably the hockey GOAT or the hobby mantle. That's what I would say, like in my unintelligent, non-knowing hockey, I would say Gretzky, or who's the Gordie Howe, one of those guys would be like, if you just said name the hockey GOAT, I'm like Gretzky just because I know him, or Gordie Howe would be second, maybe, I guess. John says I'm VG. Dan says pretty much use a VPN, of course. Oh, that's where it gets tricky for me. I'm not going to use that. Mikey says he's VG-X. Just above fair. Mr. Fair to Good. Yaz isn't top 5, but Yaz had one of the top war seasons of all time. Only Ruth did better. George is authentic altered, but not trimmed. Mark says, or is that TMI? On this date in 1988, Kirk Gibson walked off on one leg. John says, Jordan, GOAT. Gretzky, GOAT. Brady, GOAT. John and I agree on 3 things right there. How about that? Baseball has been around for too long to have a GOAT. And that's the difficult. I think baseball is the toughest because of how much things have changed in the game of baseball over time and rules have changed. Brian says, so when are you selling on Whatnot? I need to get my shill schedule down. I would not be, I don't have any plans on selling on Whatnot, but don't be surprised if I do. It won't come until probably 2025, but who knows? Who knows? Maybe sooner, but I think Whatnot will be on my, is on my radar. Not will be, but Whatnot is certainly on my radar because I did have a conversation over the weekend about Whatnot. Max says, too many people put too much on rings when talking individual players for my, I agree with that. Like, well, Jordan's got the rings. Jordan's the greatest of all time, regardless of rings. Tom Brady is the best of all time, regardless of rings. Now, in football, he's the quarterback. It goes a longer way than basketball. And well, basketball, it's kind of a, there's only 5 guys on the court. Baseball, certainly rings have nothing to do with it. But John says baseball is up in the air. I agree with that. You could name a few players, Babe Ruth, Barry Bonds, Willie Mays, and you could tell me, and I would say, yeah, you've got a good point. Or there's probably other players that I would, say, yeah, that's a good argument. Porter says, did you end up pre-ordering Update? I did not. My hobby is tracking to arrive tomorrow. I did not order any Update. I did order a case of Allen and Ginter. I may run to like Walmart or Target and find some blasters, and because Update's a fun rip. Series 2 I don't care about. Series 1 I buy a case. Update is kind of like depends on when it's going to release. Max says Jordan isn't clear cut, and I'd argue he isn't at all. Max, that's a Wisconsin take right there if I've ever seen one. And I'm an anti-Jordan guy. Like, I love giving the Jordan fanboys shit about LeBron. LeBron is not the GOAT. Could you make some arguments? Yes, but at the end of the day, your arguments are going to lose out. There's other guys that you could say, well, he was more dominating of his era. Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain. But at the end of the day, Michael Jordan. And I'm going to tell you, and I've shared this before. I used to believe, and it was kind of like my Ohtani takes. Like, if Ohtani continues this, blah, 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 with LeBron James. If LeBron James continues to dominate and puts up these numbers, he could be in the GOAT conversation. He is in the GOAT conversation, but he could be the GOAT. And then I think it was during COVID. Of course I watched The Last Dance, and then I'm like, I'm going to watch some of these games, and you can go on YouTube and watch some of the early 90s Bulls championship games. And I'm like, holy fuck. Michael Jordan, there's no question. Michael Jordan is the GOAT. Dan says, I'm good off-centered. Max says, I don't know. If Peyton was on those Patriots teams, he'd have just as many as Tom. I'm going to disagree with that. I think Joe Montana is more of a GOAT than Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning was a great football player, Hall of Fame football player. GOAT. Brian says, Earl Boykins is the best 5'5" guy to have played in the NBA. Thought Brady was the GOAT because of the rings. I mean, that's a great, that's part of his mystique and his what the hell legacy. Robert, what's going on? Is it even fair to compare historical stats in sports? 3-point line in basketball, hitting flags in football, park design and equipment in baseball changed everything. You are correct. You are 100% correct. It's so difficult. Baseball's the toughest, but even in football, bring like the the rules have changed so much in football, the 3-point line in basketball. You've got a great point. Mikey says, please don't sell on Whatnot. Trying to get away from that. I probably will end up selling on Whatnot at some point. Bill Russell, says Mikey. And see, that's, I could take that argument. I probably will end up not agreeing, but I'll at least listen. I'm probably not going to listen to a Peyton Manning GOAT argument, but I'd listen to Bill Russell. Matty Matt's in the house. If Mahomes continue his career like it's gone so far, he could surpass Brady, in my opinion. MJ is GOAT, LeBron, not even close. I agree with the Mahomes take. I agree. If Mahomes can keep playing at the caliber he's played, and he could reach Brady status. I agree. Dan says, yes, the worst baseball take is faulting an all-time great for not having rings. I agree. Max says, not doing the LeBron-Jordan debate today. LeBron has dominated 2 times as long as Jordan. LeBron hasn't dominated for a long time. LeBron has not dominated for a long time. Flawed Thinker says, Wilt was a foot taller than everyone else. Not a level playing field, but he is up there. George says, Jordan has multiple babies across multiple states, and James has used baby oil at Diddy freak-offs. Okay. Ain't no party like a Diddy party. Ain't no party like a Diddy party. So, yeah, I may sell on Whatnot. And that's what I had for today. Where are we at? Brian says, LeBron is so good still. His longevity is wild. He is, but he's not dominant. Is he good? Yes. Is LeBron a dominating NBA player today or the last few years? Absolutely not. LeBron is not a dominating NBA player anymore. He was at one time, but he's not anymore. Porter says, Bo has the following required to be successful selling on Whatnot. So I'm glad we got back on track. So I had a conversation with somebody, and this could also be beginner's luck. But I talked to a dealer who just started selling on Whatnot. I had great success, had like 15 followers, and like did $1,000 in a weekend. I'm like, damn. Now I don't know. Could have been great. Could have been $3,000. Now it could have been $3,000 worth of inventory, and they sold $1,000. I don't know that, but and I've had multiple conversations with people, and much of it has to do with my dollar boxes. People will go through my dollar boxes, and they're like, do you sell on Whatnot? I'm like, no. And they're like, I can't believe with all this, you don't sell on Whatnot. And I'm like, yeah, So I get that a lot. Like usually a couple times each card show, dealers say the same thing. Like, yeah, you should sell on Whatnot. And so this recent conversation, and she's got a show coming up tomorrow night on Whatnot. I'm gonna tune in just to see. And I have a login. I've even bought some. I think Mikey was my first purchase on Whatnot. So I'm gonna check things out just to see what it's all about. It's certainly not something I'm going to, I am calculated with the moves like collects. It took me a while to, I can do this. So, maybe in 2025, Whatnot is a new platform that I sell on. So we will see. Where are we at? John says maybe the NBA blows right now. I mean, I think it does. I think it does. Max has questions. Go back to the optometrist. They fucked you last time, apparently. LeBron is not dominating. Only thing LeBron has dominated recently is the Lakers' draft decision-making. Drop the mic. Boom. John Keating with the comment of the day. And 100% correct. Matty Matt says, I'd have liked to see LaFlop play back in Jordan's era. See, and that's where you can't like that. You can't even use that. You can't use that. Because LeBron, like, look at fucking LeBron James. Because you can counter that argument. Like Michael Jordan was a flopper too. Michael Jordan was a flopper. And you put LeBron James back, like, you don't think LeBron James could hold his own against the Detroit Pistons? He could. just because he plays by the rule. They're gonna call a ticky-tack foul, which they usually don't. But I mean, that argument goes both ways. Like, well, would Jordan have succeeded in today's game? Fuck. Jordan would have been twice the GOAT that he is already if he played in today's game, in my opinion. But if LeBron James played back in the day, you don't think he could hold his own? So I don't even like to do those comparisons of like, well, if LeBron played in the 80s, he'd get torn apart. No, he wouldn't. Dude's built like a fucking tight end, linebacker. He would have held his own. Where are we at? Brian says you have to carry a conversation. I think it skipped ahead. You have to carry a conversation. Bo does that better than almost anyone I've seen on Whatnot. The GOAT of Whatnot. Oh, let's slow down here. No. I agree with Orlando. Jordan is the basketball GOAT, period. End of sentence, end of paragraph, end of story. Jordan is the GOAT. Porter says it doesn't hurt that he's got the gift of gab and he can stomach taking a loss on a few cards. And that's the thing. Like, the people that have not had success on Whatnot is you have to build an audience. You have to build an audience to get those sales. You can't just go in and expect to make profit on your first sale without a following. Like, you have to have a following, and you're going to take some lumps. Like, even I take some lumps on eBay on my auctions, and that's just the name of the game. Max says, ask Whatnot for a better package than what Collects gave you. I will ask. Like, hey, can you give me 1.5? Collects only offered me $1 million. Can you go 1.5? Unicorn Cupcake laughs. John says Jordan played defense. LeBron couldn't handle Mahorn. I bet he could. Only Rodman can hold his own with Kim Jong-un. Mikey says LeBron was only good because of the freak-off parties. Yeah, him and Diddy. Max says, at least you recognize that. Old people like Orlando and I saw some incredible players in the 1980s. Jordan came along and flipped the table. Jordan made people like me change our minds. And that's the thing. And Max is young. See, Max, did you watch Michael Jordan? You were born in what, 88? Like, you were not really watching Michael Jordan in 1992, 91, 92, 90, 93. Like, go back and watch some YouTube. Watch some 91, 92 NBA Finals. 92, 93. Jordan. Fucking go. Is that a goat sound? Orlando hated Jordan, then loved him. 89, yes, I have a Jordan jersey. But you were like 3 years old in Jordan's prime. That's like me saying, well, I watched Carl Yastrzemski play baseball because he played until, actually, no, I think when did Yaz retire? 82? That's when I was born. Who retired in like Tom Seaver, Steve Carlton? I was like 4 or 5 when they retired. I didn't watch them. Let's see. Where are we at? Good point. I mean, you got a point here. Throw your Babe Ruth comments out. I didn't watch Babe Ruth. I haven't seen any film on Babe Ruth. We just have the stats to look at. I agree. I'm kind of talking out of both sides of my mouth. Uncle Rich says, watch Game 6 of the 1980 NBA Finals on YouTube. John says, goat. Magic Johnson dominating as a 20-year-old. Max says, and your parents were 5 when Bill Russell played. Shut the fuck up. I'll shut the fuck up when you shut the fuck up. Unicorn Cupcake says, Jordan is the best from the last 50 years. Like saying Mark Whitten was the GOAT because you saw him play in that game. All right, I take that back. Can we strike that from the record? My dumb comments, so I can shut the fuck up? Maddie Matt says, I was born in 88 and watched MJ with my grandpa all the time, but I don't really remember anything other than the 96 to 98 seasons. Uncle Rich says, there is our Max. John says, Magic had to start that game because Kareem was injured. Your point guard starting at center. as a rookie. Magic Johnson, the GOAT, Magic Johnson. All righty. So I think that's about all I had for today. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to shut the fuck up now. Buy 7 or more cards in my eBay store, 99centcards.com. You'll save 25% off at checkout. Don't forget to get those bids in. We've got Tuesday night auctions ending tonight, streaming live, starting at 7 p.m. Central, right here on this YouTube channel. We've got some good auctions. Let's just take a look at what we've got at auction tonight. Ending soon. I've got some RPAs. Speaking of GOATs, it's a Tom Brady Tuesday. I've got a whole bunch of Tom Brady auctions going live tonight. 99centcards.com. So here's what we've got going on. These auctions end this evening. We've got a TJ Graham RPA, Buffalo Bills from Topps Finest. How about you Packer wonks out there? I've got a Brett Hundley. I think he's in the Canadian Football League now. Brett Hundley, National Treasures RPA, numbered to 49. That bidding is only at $1.52. Get that, Packers fans. I've got a Bowman Sterling that's not a RPA. That's a rookie patch. Okay, I'm reading wrong. Rookie patch, Robert Woods, numbered to 171. Buffalo Bills, that's up to 228. We've got a Titus Young, Detroit Lions. I don't like that jersey auto because it's like cut off, but that's how they made it. Brady Quinn, he's on TV now. I'm surprised this is up to $3.26, numbered out of 225. Here's a Jake Locker RPA. It's only at 99 cents. I thought this one would actually go a little higher than it is. I mean, we still have 11 hours, but you never know. Matt Ryan rookies. I've got Topps, Upper Deck, and playoff contenders for Matt Ryan. Tim Tebow. Look at that. Tim Tebow selling for more than 3 Matt Ryan rookies. Does that make Tim Tebow the better quarterback than Matt Ryan? Kenneth Faried auto, acetate auto, numbered out of 349. I've got a Phil Pressey auto, Boston Celtics. A Larry Sanders, Milwaukee Bucks RPA from 2010. That's only at 99 cents. Actually, no, it's not even at 99 cents. What the fuck? No bids on Larry Sanders RPA. Larry Sanders rookie, though, has a $1.25 bid. A Bryce Harper reprint from 2013. Steven Strasburg, Finest Prodigies. We've got a Sam Bradford rookie numbered to 199. Darren McFadden rookie numbered out of a 500. Dual auto, the Howard sisters, Ginger and Robbie, golfers from Goodwin Champions. I've got a Joe Flacco Topps Chrome rookie card. He's now the starting quarterback for the Colts. Tyronn Lue, Sage auto. He's a NBA coach now, isn't he? It's up to 325. Here's a first Bowman Chrome auto blue refractor, Hunter Morris. It's at $1.05. Finest Impact Jake Plummer cheap slab here, PSA 8. How about this? The official All-Star Game ballot from 1976. It's at 99 cents. I'm surprised these empty boxes haven't got any bids. No bids yet. 75, 76 Topps basketball empty box and a 75 Topps football empty box. Let's see. LaMelo Ball, optic purple prism rated rookie. Baseball RPA, Brett Eibner. National Treasures relic auto of Jorge Alfaro of the Phillies. A relic of Josh Bell. Goodwin Champions memorabilia relic, Michael Smallin of kayaking. Another cheap slab, Gem Elite 10, Trent Edwards rookie auto. NASCAR alert, undercover car relic, Rusty Wallace. Got a 59 Topps Johnny Padres. PSA 4. It's up to 425. Celebrity Cuts relic, Catherine Grayson. That's numbered to 100. A golf dual relic, Azahara Munoz and Stacey Lewis. We've got a football RPA, Andy Isabella. This is numbered out of 10. It's currently at $8.50. Hey, more Packers. This is a Green Bay Packers Super Bowl champions commemorative folio. No bids yet. Opening bid 99 cents. Ends tonight. 1996 BBM Ichiro Japanese baseball card. PSA 7. Only at $225. Blaze Jordan Leaf auto at $550. 2002-3 Fleer Hoops Hot Prospects unopened pack featuring Yao Ming on the front. That's got a bid of 99 cents. Len Elmore, New Jersey Nets autograph. Warren Spahn exhibits. Boston Braves, currently at $4.25. Here's the GOAT, Tom Brady. I can't believe this is only at 99 cents. This is, I think this is a $10 to $20 card. 2009 National Chickle. It's the gold insert. Current bid 99 cents. Otani, Stars of MLB insert. No bids yet on that. Johnny Manziel, die cut rookie card from Prism. We've got hockey. We got a hockey tonight. Seth Helgeson of the New Jersey Devils. It's numbered to 25. No bids yet on it. Mike Schmidt poster from 7-Up. No bids yet. Bill Buckner poster from Sports Illustrated does have a couple bids. Minnesota Twins mini bat. That ends. Some of these end tomorrow night. Oh, my bad. The hockey is the last one that ends tonight. The Schmidt, the Buckner, and the Twins, those end tomorrow night. So those auctions tonight will stream live starting at 7 p.m. Central Time right here on this YouTube channel. Get your bids in now at 99 cents. 99centcards.com. Let's go get to the final chats. Where we at? Oh, we got a lot of chats. Let's see. Mikey recognizes greatness. Kareem had a migraine. Phillips in the house. He says, so if you compare NBA players, LeBron sucks against the professor. Rich says, almost best chat ever. Max says, there's only one thing Magic is the GOAT at, and I'm not going there because I'm not mean. John says, Iverson, one-on-one would make LeBron question his career choice. Mikey says, what do you think about Larry Bird? Larry Bird was a great basketball player. Magic was a beloved teammate. That dude from Duryea says, yes, we see a performance and pour money into cardboard because that person is going to make us rich. Larry Bird could start anywhere on the court and dominate. Bird is one of my favorite players of all time. Unicorn Cupcake says, Magic over Bird, but Bird was great too. It was just, they were like peanut butter and jelly. Magic versus Bird. Like it's hard to talk about one without bringing up the other. Orlando says, Bird was unstoppable. Max says, so could LeBron. Philip says, the professor can't play NBA basketball because they are afraid of him. John says, Bird played in the post, which is why I always pick him over Magic. I love Larry Bird because I went to Indiana State. The Sycamores. Orlando says, Bird lacked defense. Bird specialized in psych ops. Tebow is a college GOAT. Orlando says, big talker. Mikey says, is sports talk make this the longest airing Hobby Evolution ever? No, because I actually have to get Ernie to doggy daycare here in a couple minutes. So I think we went like 2.5 hours one time. Porter says, I just posted the link in the Hobby Evolution Facebook group. By the way, check out the Hobby Evolution Facebook group on Facebook. Just type in Hobby Evolution and we'll get you in. I was at that 1976 All-Star game. Very cool. Unicorn Cupcake says, Jake Plummer selling magic mushrooms in Colorado now. Interesting. Orlando wants to know, where's the vintage? We've got Johnny Padres. That's about it. Not much vintage tonight. Unicorn Cupcake says, growing and selling. John says, you know how you make a boner disappear? Say the words golf dual relic. That exhibit might be a reprint. I don't think it is. You know why? Because I bought it in that estate sale where everything was from the 70s. Unless they made exhibits in the 70s, because those cards were all untouched from the 1970s. That was part of the estate sale. Jody says, first game I ever went to was Seaver versus Charlton. Is that Norm Charlton? Unicorn Cupcake says, is this his whatnot audition? John says, I like that Schmidt poster, third base GOAT. Norm Charlton. Who would have had that on your bingo today? Norm Charlton reference. If you think Jordan is the basketball GOAT, don't forget to take your pills this morning. I already did. I do it first thing in the morning. Brian says, I'll take my pills as my doctor suggested. A real MD. Cheers, everyone. I'm a real MD as well. You just don't know me. Reprints from exhibits are early 80s, so I highly doubt this is a reprint. because this collection ended at like 1978, 77. Rich says they did make 1970s exhibit reprints. Oh, well, could be. Dan says, are you still keeping an eye out for estate sales? Yes. Not as much as I should be, but yes, I am. Red light, he got here just in time. Good morning to you. And we're going to sign off because I've got to get Ernie to doggy daycare. All right. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, visit my eBay store, 99centcards.com. Don't forget my auctions are ending tonight for Tuesday night auctions. We'll stream live starting at 7 p.m. Central. New auctions begin every minute as our auctions end. And I'm also on the Collects platform, COLLX. Download the app and buy my cards. I'm 1 million Cubs on Collects. I've got over 3,000 cards in my inventory. I'm about, 2.5 weeks in. I've sold 330 cards, somewhere around that, in my first 2.5, 3 weeks on the Collects app. So check it out, Collects, COLLX. My singles are cheaper than what I would list on eBay. So have a great day. It's Tuesday. And we'll see you tonight, 7 p.m. Central for eBay Auctions Live. See you tonight.